Good evening. I declare the Ordinary Council meeting of the 28th of October 2025 held in Council Chambers at Level 2, 388 Hay Street, open at 5:33 p.m. Welcome everyone. On behalf of the City of Subiaco, I acknowledge that this land that we're meeting on this evening is the traditional land of the Whadjuk Noongar people, and we recognise their ongoing connection to the land and waterways of Subiaco. Okay, I'll take attendances now, and it's great to see 8 councillors and a mayor all here in person, as well as a strong complement of staff led by the CEO and his executive leadership team. Welcome to you. And we've got no acting directors because all the usual directors are here to assist us, which is very good. Okay, there are therefore no apologies, and I understand there's a late request for a leave of absence from Councillor Powell. Councillor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I request a leave of absence from the 20th of July to the 30th of July, inclusive in 2026.
Okay, a mover and a seconder for the leave request. We'll say Councillor De Vries and Councillor Jones moving and seconding, and I'll put it to the vote, and everything can be done by a press of the buttons this evening. I'll put it to the vote now. Okay, the leave is approved unanimously. Was there another leave request to my left?
There was.
Okay. Looks like it's just the one this evening. Are there any disclosures of interest for tonight's meeting? Okay, moving through. There were no questions previously taken on notice, so we'll move to public question time. We've got a single question. It doesn't relate to anything on the agenda. It's a question from Rebecca Coughlin of Bulimba Road, Netherlands. Ms Coughlin.
Thank you very much, Mayor. With regards to the city spending on legal services to various firms, page 13 of the Public Transport Authority's planning report for the DA for the proposed Matilda Bay Ferry Terminal mentions affected land parcel lot 10605, an existing local government managed car parking facility vested in the City of Subiaco in accordance with Crown Reserve 39045 for the purpose of parking. A. What legal advice, if any, has the City of Subiaco received regarding this land parcel, and is there a project agreement in place? B. What and how many consultations have there been with the state government regarding the DA? And C, on Thursday the 23rd of October, the 3-week period closed for comments on the development application. What was the city's response? Did the administration put in a submission, and would it be possible to make this publicly available?
Thanks for the question, Ms Coughlin. I will ask the Director of Corporate Services to answer the question, but I think what the answer will show is that the legal spend that you've identified is completely unrelated to the issue which I think you're interested in, and that is the proposed ferry service. But Ms Wollaston, if you could advise what the City has found out about these 3 questions.
Sure, and thank you, Presiding Member. So just for clarification on this particular parcel of land, the management order of this car park on Crown land should have actually transferred to the City of Perth when the City of Perth Act came into effect in 2016, as it's been within the City of Perth boundary since that time. The City of Perth currently maintains the land and receives the parking revenue, and we have a long-standing request with DPLH to resolve the basically administrative anomaly through a formalised transfer of the management order. So because we don't have any dealings with the land other than just to finalise that transfer of that management order, and as the land is not within our district, we haven't sought any legal advice or made any submission on the development application. As the change in management order to the City of Perth has not occurred, the City of Subiaco was contacted to sign the development application. We consulted the City of Perth prior to effecting this as an administrative step, noting that it doesn't indicate a position on the development proposal itself.
Thank you, Director. Okay, short and sweet tonight. I think that was the end of public question time. There are no public statements to be made that I'm aware of. No petitions or approved deputations. So, councillors, I'll ask you to confirm minutes of previous meetings. We've got a single set of minutes from the ordinary council meeting of the 26th of August 2025. Do I have a mover and a seconder to accept those minutes? Councillor O'Connor moving. Councillor Jones seconding. I'll put that to the vote. Okay, the minutes are accepted unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Now, announcements by the presiding member. And I'm just going to pause and let the moment sink in as we meet as a new but not too new group of elected members for the first time. It was just a week ago, of course, that we held our special council meeting and swearing in, and it was a memorable occasion for all those elected and sworn into new roles. For a more fulsome discussion of the term that's just been and the term that we now head into, I'll simply direct you to my announcements from last week. And for now, I'll look into the rearview mirror one more time at seats previously held by Simon White and Gary Kosovich, and to thank those two gentlemen for their contributions to council over the last 4 years. Each of them made their presence felt on council, and I'd like to extend my thanks and a formal farewell to them both. And now looking at those two seats again, I will refer to you both as new councillors for the last time, Councillor Bridget Pine and Councillor Danny Fife. From now on, there's no more new councillors, no more newbies. There's just 8 councillors and a mayor, all here for the good government of persons in the district. I'm advised that we are presently making about 100 formal decisions as a council each year, so here's to the many decisions to come for this council. Thanks, everyone. Having said that, we should now make some decisions. There's a possible en bloc vote in front of me on the basis that a number of items this evening don't have any special voting requirements and are not the subject of any proposed amendments or alternatives submitted by elected members. So the possible en bloc vote I've got in front of me would consist of items C1, C5, C6, C7, 13.1, 13.2 and 13.3. Councillors, did you wish to remove any of those items from the en bloc vote? Okay, that sounds good to me. I will therefore ask for a mover and a seconder for the en bloc item. Councillor De Vries moving and Councillor O'Connor seconding. We'll put that to the vote now. Thank you, councillors. Those items are carried en bloc, which for those watching means that the officer recommendations are carried as resolutions of council as recommended in the meeting papers. So if you just give me a moment, I'll see what's left on tonight's agenda. Councillors, what that leaves is 3 agenda items, each of which deals with appointments to internal or external positions. So we'll go straight to C2, Development Assessment Panels, nominations for the Metro Inner Development Assessment Panel. And as you all know, we've been fielding nominations from councillors all week, and I think this one requires 2 appointees, and I think we've got 2 appointees unless there were any late-minute nominees for the items. Let me just get up the matrix that has been compiled. Okay, so it's C2, nominations for the Development Assessment Panel. We need 2 members and 2 deputies. At the moment, we have Councillor O'Connor and Councillor De Vries nominating as members, and Councillor Powell and Councillor Jones nominating as alternates or deputies. Were there any last-minute requests to either nominate or withdraw one's nomination? Okay, I think we can ask for a mover and a seconder for C2 on the basis that the proposed names will be, as I just stated, so Councillor O'Connor and De Vries as members and Councillor Powell and Jones as alternates or deputies. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Pine moving and Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Johnston seconding. Okay, there's an opportunity to debate this just like any other item, Councillor Pine. You don't have to speak to it if there's little to say. Okay. Yep. I imagine on that basis there's even less for the seconder to say. Okay, I'll put that to the vote. That's C2. Okay, C2 is carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. C3 concerns membership of the City's Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. We need 3 members from this committee. Just a question, when do we deal with external nominees? That comes later, does it? The independent chair? Okay, councillors, what I was just clarifying was the role of the independent chair of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. That's a new requirement that that person be appointed independently, so it's no longer going to be an elected member presiding over that committee. Staff have processed the nominations, and there's 2 names in front of me at least, and there would have been 2 in front of you if you've received the matrix earlier today. Mary Ann Stevens is the recommended appointee as the independent chair. So what I'll do is I'll test the room and see if there's someone prepared to move and second that we appoint Mary Ann Stevens as the chair, and Councillor Johnston, Councillor Pine and myself as members of the committee. Do I have a mover and a seconder for those appointments? Okay, okay, we're filling in gaps on the screen. So the proposal is that the deputy presiding member will be David Ashton. So just to confirm, the presiding member is Mary Ann Stevens on the basis of the staff assessment of her suitability for the role, and David Ashton as the deputy. And the elected member names are as mentioned a moment ago. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Let me just see how it's written in the agenda. It's probably points 1, 2 and 3, is it? As shown on the screen now, but with the gaps filled. Yep. Okay, for this one, I don't think we necessarily need to break it down if there's a mover and a seconder for all of the officer recommendations. So that's points 1, 2 and 3 with those names inserted as shown on the screen. Councillor Powell, thank you for moving, and Councillor O'Connor seconding. Councillor Powell, did you want to speak to the item? Councillor O'Connor, you'll pass. Thank you. Okay, we'll go straight to the vote on this one too. Thanks, councillors. C3 is carried unanimously. So that's the 3 elected members appointed to the committee, with the 2 independent appointees as presiding member and deputy presiding member. Okay, and the last appointment we need to make for this evening, noting that there will be appointments to other things to deal with in due course at future meetings, is the appointment to the Wolga Central Metropolitan Zone. It's item C4. Okay, please note, item C4 was mistakenly listed as absolute majority in agenda. So let me just say that in plain English. Item C4 was mistakenly described as having an absolute majority voting requirement in the published agenda. However, it only requires a simple majority vote. Okay, so what we need for this appointment is 2 members and ideally 2 deputies. And I think we've got the exact number of nominees. For Wolga. Yep. Okay, and point 3 of this resolution relates to the Metropolitan Regional Road Group. Yep. Okay, just thinking through how best to reach a decision on this, we've got appointments to 3 external bodies to deal with, and this one I think should be broken down to a more simple question, one at a time. So we'll vote on items 1, item 2, and then item 3 of the officer recommendation. So in the order there stated in the agenda, the first is the appointment to the Wolga Central Metropolitan Zone Committee. We need 2 members, 2 deputies. We've had Councillor Fife and Councillor De Vries nominating as members, and we've had Councillor O'Connor and Councillor Jones nominating as alternates or deputies. If there's no changes to those nominations, I'll have a mover and a second just for point 1 of the officer recommendation, and then I'll do the same for points 2 and point 3. Councillor Johnston and Councillor Jones moving and seconding, thank you. If there's nothing to debate on this item, we'll put point 1 only of item C4 to the vote. Thank you, councillors. Point 1 of item C4 is carried unanimously, which brings us to point 2, appointments to the Western Metropolitan Regional Council. Okay, this is a slightly more complicated exercise because we're seeking 1 member and 1 deputy. At the moment, we've got 4 nominees for the member position and no nominations for deputy. If anyone wanted to nominate for deputy and or remove their nomination for appointment as a member to the WMRC, there's a chance now. Councillor Johnston?
4 people nominating.
Thank you. Okay, that makes things a little bit easier. Thank you. Okay, so what that leaves is 3 nominees, Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Jones and Councillor Pine. The most sensible way to approach this in discussion with governance staff, we think, is to conduct a poll. We'll adopt the optional preferential voting method as per current trends in local government, and staff have helpfully done up a ballot sheet already. So this saves us from having to do a show of hands or fumbling around trying to work out who we appoint, and we'll do it in the most democratic way that we were able to identify. The sheet that you've got at the moment will have 4 names on it, but if you'd all delete Councillor Johnston's name and then complete the paper in an optional preferential method, we'll count up the votes and work out who is going to be our representative on WMRC.
Three candidates and 3 votes for each, what would take place, just so everybody's aware of what happens. Because for my benefit, everybody else is probably right on top of this.
Well, the how to vote information at the top of the slip says that you write the number 1 in the square next to the name of the candidate who is your choice. If you want to, you may show more candidates by writing consecutive numbers in the squares next to the names of those other candidates in the order of your choice, starting with the number 2 and continuing down to number 3. But you do not need to write a number in all the squares. So you could conceivably write just the number 1. You could write the number 1 or 2, or you could write the number 1, 2 and 3. Now, if there is a tie between the 3 nominees, the way it was going to work in other optional preferential settings, so the way I propose it would work here is that as presiding member, I wouldn't make a casting vote, but I would propose an adjournment in order for the council to work out how we proceed. That's generally how optional preferential works, isn't it? And look, I wouldn't be proposing a long adjournment. I'd be proposing something like 15 minutes to reflect on what's happened and who might be the best appointee to WMRC. There's a flow chart. Okay. What do we do with that? Okay. Look, I think what we'll do is the director's got a flow chart in front of her, which I think is based on guidance from the department. If we need to work out what comes next after the first round of voting, we'll consult the department guidance just to make sure we're doing everything in the most democratic way possible.
It was explained to me that if there was a tie, we'd just immediately go to a second vote without an adjournment. And then if there was a tie again, then we've got this whole situation of...
Oh yeah, you might be right. I've never had to think that far ahead in the context of optional preferential, but I suspect you knew more about the topic than you led on with your original question.
I didn't know anything about this flow chart.
No, thank you for the clarification.
I found something out. It's been very illuminating.
Look, we might not even get there, so I'm going to switch off my microphone. Everyone's got a ballot paper.
One more question, Mayor. Is this anonymous or is it... Because normally with these votes it's not.
Yeah, it'll be anonymous in a very similar way to how the deputy vote was conducted last week. Would you prefer it wasn't?
Oh, no, it's just that, sort of normally it has, we normally, when we have these, as we have with the earlier ones, we've had the vote, we've had, how people have voted. So it's Mayor, you're the presiding officer, it's your call.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll certainly minute the vote once we've constructed a resolution to put to the vote. Okay. So everyone, if you'd please complete your ballot papers. Not telling anyone how to suck eggs, but if you'd please fold the paper in half just once so your paper can't be identified. Okay, I'll ask the CEO to count the ballots, similar to what he did last week. This is only half as stressful as last week's vote, though, surely.
And so if someone can count for me, but I'm sure we'll be fine. I'll read the number one votes first, and then we'll work from there. And so I think that was the question that we're asking. One vote, Councillor O'Connor. One vote, Councillor Jones. One vote, Councillor Jones. One vote, Councillor Pine. One vote, Councillor O'Connor. One vote, Councillor Jones. One vote, Councillor Jones. One vote, Councillor Pine. One vote, Councillor Jones. So by my count, Councillor Jones on the first has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Councillor O'Connor has 1, 2. Councillor Pine has 1, 2.
So 5's what you need to win.
Correct.
Okay, so there were 5 votes in favour of Councillor Jones. So what I'll propose is that we complete the item with Councillor Jones's name as member, Councillor Johnston's name as deputy.
Have we only got one for deputy? Or? Yeah, okay.
And I'll seek a mover and a seconder for the completed item of the resolution. Councillor Fife, thank you, and Councillor Burns. If we're not debating this one, I will put it to the vote. Okay, that decision is carried unanimously also. Okay, so what does that leave? I've lost my matrix. Yep, okay, so that just leaves item 3 of the agenda item. And it's for the Metropolitan Regional Road Group. We need 1 member and 1 deputy. We've got 2 nominees for member and 1 nominee for deputy. So we've got Councillor Johnston nominating as deputy, and we've got Councillor Jones and Councillor De Vries both. Okay, I think that is a handy solution then. We've got...
Made a mistake.
What's that?
Over enthusiastic, definitely no.
Okay, so unless there's a clerical error, we had a nomination for Councillor De Vries earlier, but that's now withdrawn. So the nominees stand as being Councillor Jones as member, Councillor Johnston as deputy. We only needed 1 name for each of those positions. Therefore, unless there's any late nominations, we can put that item straight to the vote. So that's a mover and a seconder. No. You want to? Okay. Okay. Councillor Jones withdraws his nomination. Councillor Pine submits a nomination. So item that you might withdraw and let someone else take your place as well. I hope. Okay. A mover and a seconder for item 3 of, well, point 3 of agenda item C4 with the names as shown. That's Councillor Pine and Councillor Johnston. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Burns moving, Councillor Jones seconding. Again, it's probably not another one for debate, I don't think. We can put that straight to the vote. Excellent. Another unanimous decision. So that means we've now dealt with points 1, 2 and 3 of agenda item C4. As you'd recall, a number of items were dealt with en bloc, and that included 3 confidential items. So what I should do in relation to those confidential items is read out the decisions that were made as part of the en bloc vote. Oh no, there's one more confidential item. No, there's not. So we're 13.2 and 13.3. Okay, just to confirm, 13.1, 13.2 and 13.3 were all carried on block, and those decisions were as follows. 13.1, 21 Bishop Street, Jolimont is leased to Direct Image Digital Printing Proprietary Limited or its nominee, consistent with the terms contained in this report and otherwise on terms acceptable to the city. Item 13.2, 25 Bishop Street, Jolimont, WA is leased to Cardiactive Proprietary Limited, consistent with the terms contained in this report and otherwise on terms acceptable to the city. And 13.3, 33 Bishop Street, Jolimont is leased to MCL Group Proprietary Limited, consistent with the terms contained in this report and otherwise on terms acceptable to the city. Okay. All right. Well, that concludes the agenda. There's no business of an urgent nature that I've been made aware of. There's no elected member motions submitted with prior notice this month. I'll therefore declare the council meeting closed at 6:06 p.m. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff.